Welcome. I'm Jack Liebau, president of Bay Meadows. You are about to see a chronology of the events at Bay Meadows from its birth in 1933 to its closure in 2008, a span of 75 years. In viewing the chronology, we hope you will come to appreciate the rich tradition of Bay Meadows and the role it played in the history of California racing.
William P. Kine's dream of Bay Meadows begins. After two prior defeats on June 27th, voters approved Proposition 5, legalizing parimutuel wagering on horse racing. The Racing Board grants a racing license to the California Jockey Club at Bay Meadows. It took 209 days to build Bay Meadows, which opened on November 3rd with over 15,000 excited fans in attendance. The 8 races, with win, place, and show betting only, handled nearly $118,000. Kine allowed Western Union and Postal Telegraph to install teletype machines to receive money order bets, which had to be placed 1 hour prior to post. Money order bets averaged $4,000 per day. On Sunday, December 16th, nearly 28,000 fans watched Time Supply win the Bay Meadows Handicap, a race which would become the longest continually run stake in California. Sunday racing would not reappear until 1973. Headplay, who had won the Preakness and run second in the Kentucky Derby in '33, won the Bay Meadows Handicap. San Mateo County Fair, called in those days the Flora Fiesta and Flower Show, opened in October of '35. Kine would later sell a part of Bay Meadows parking lot to the fairgrounds. Headplay, for the second straight year, wins the Bay Meadows Handicap. Trained by the legendary Tom Smith, Seabiscuit wins the Bay Bridge and World's Fair Handicap. Both Seabiscuit and Tom Smith would become Hall of Famers. 19-year-old jockey Ralph Neves fell and was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead and toe-tagged. He regained consciousness, ran from the morgue, and hailed a cab back to Bay Meadows. He would have 5 mounts the next day and went on to racing's Hall of Fame. Sweepstakes tickets for the inaugural running of the Children's Hospital Handicap netted $28,000 for the hospital's building fund. Seabiscuit captured the Bay Meadows Handicap on May 22nd with Red Pollard in the saddle. In 1938, future Hall of Fame jockey John Adams captured 6 races in one day. And for the second year in a row, Seabiscuit won the Bay Meadows Handicap, this time with the Iceman George Wolfe in the saddle. And they did it in track record time of 1:49 for a mile and an eighth. Here is rare footage from that afternoon at Bay Meadows. There's Seabiscuit, number 1, coming on to the track. Here in the winner's circle, Seabiscuit is flanked by his owner, Charles S. Howard, on the left, and Tom Smith, the trainer, on the right. From the beginning, Bay Meadows represented more to the San Francisco Peninsula than just a racetrack. Over the years, it has served as a facility for all types of community activities and will be remembered by many high school graduates as the site of their prom dances. Earlier versions of the starting gate had no barriers in front of the stalls. Then in 1939, Clay Pewitt invented the all-enclosed electric starting gate, and it was used in America for the first time at Bay Meadows. The 3-year-old Sweet Pida, with Ralph Neves aboard, beats older rivals in the Bay Meadows Handicap. Daily double wagering, which required new betting equipment and a new tote board, was introduced for the first time in 1940. In 1941, a horse named No Competition, trained by Hurst Philpott, wins the Bay Meadows Handicap. And later that year, World War II begins. Notice the headline showing a long shot winner at Bay Meadows getting top billing over the war. Bay Meadows conducted its first war relief meeting, around 55 days, with 92% of all profits, approximately $250,000, going to the war effort. Because of gas rationing, no cars were allowed to park at Bay Meadows, and races could not be run after 5 p.m.
The army now, a blowin' reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of company.
Put In, ridden by George Wolfe and owned by George Widener, won the Bay Meadows Handicap. Bay Meadows continued to race during the war, raising another $1 million for the war effort.
Now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of
O'Connor won the Bay Meadows Handicap in '44. As the war raged on, Bay Meadows continued to race and raise funds for the war relief effort.
He makes the company jump when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B.
In 1945, the war ended, with Bay Meadows having raised over $4 million for the war effort, which is about $3 million more than expected. On October 27th of that year, El Lobo became the first horse to be transported by air to run at a racetrack, landing in the parking lot and winning the inaugural handicap the next day. His handler, Burl Tatum, would stay on at Bay Meadows and become the stable superintendent. Kind protected the employment of the female mutual clerks who had been employed during the war. After being flown to Northern California on a Pan Am plane, the Argentine-bred Adrogue won the 1946 Bay Meadows Handicap. In 1947, legendary jockey Johnny Longden, a future Hall of Famer, would go on to set a new record for number of career wins, won 6 races in one afternoon at Bay Meadows.
If I never have a cent, I'll be rich.
1948 saw a record crowd of 29,300 attend a Charity Day program at Bay Meadows. The legendary Bill Shoemaker, who would later break Longden's career win record, began his illustrious career galloping horses at Bay Meadows.
Leave 'em on the doorstep.
I did it already, Pops.
In 1949, quarter horse racing at a major meet with pari-mutuel wagering was first introduced at Bay Meadows, with the first race each day scheduled for shortliners. On October 14th, the Irish-bred Noor, one of racing's Hall of Fame members, won his first U.S. race at Bay Meadows. Noor was a 4-time conqueror of the mighty Citation. Shoemaker won his first stake aboard a horse named Al, carrying only 103 pounds and out-finishing the Hall of Fame jockey Jackie Westrope, who was aboard the favorite. Moonrush, bred by Louis B. Mayer, won the first of 3 Bay Meadows handicaps with 3 different jockeys. At a cost of over $1 million, the facility was renovated, including the addition of a turf club, indoor paddock, an extension of the grandstand, a rebuilt clubhouse, and the addition of barns. Kine said that the updated plant could handle over 40,000 people and stable 2,000 horses. "1950 saw another first for Bay Meadows, when a meet combining both harness and quarter horses was conducted. Later that year, on October 13th, Bill Shoemaker rode 6 winners. 1951 saw Calumet's Triple Crown winner Citation, trained by Jimmy Jones, kick off his final year of racing at Bay Meadows, finishing third in a 6-furlong overnight sprint on April 18th. Citation went on to be racing's first millionaire with earnings of $1,085,000. Coletown, stablemate to Citation and second to him in the Kentucky Derby, won the Children's Hospital Handicap on May 5th. Citation, Coletown, and their trainer are members of Racing's Hall of Fame. Also that year, Ralph Neves would ride 6 winners at Bay Meadows on October 24th. "1952, Tu Lee, another of Calumet's Hall of Famers, outran Moonrush to win the Children's Hospital Handicap with Henry Marino in the saddle. 1953 saw Ambrose, who would later sire the great native diver, take the San Jose Stakes with Bill Shoemaker aboard. 1954, a $100,000 race was named in honor of the so-called Cinderella Man, the William P. Kine Handicap. On April 10th of that year, Andy Crevelin's California-bred Determined, under Ray York, won the inaugural running of the Bay Meadows Derby for Hall of Fame trainer William Moulter. Just weeks later, Determined won the 80th running of the Kentucky Derby, and on that same day, Crevelin's Ambrose, with Johnny Longden in the saddle, won the William P. Kine, breaking Seabiscuit's track record for a mile and 16th. Never before had an owner-trainer duo won 100 granders on the same day. And on April 23, 1954, Bill Harmatz became the 5th jockey to ride 6 winners in one afternoon. The 55 William P. Kine Handicap was won by Mr. Gus, ridden by Bill Shoemaker, for future Hall of Fame trainer Charlie Whittingham. In 1956, Bill Kine, the founder of Bay Meadows, passed away on February 16th at the age of 69. His wife Dorothy was elected to serve as the general manager. '57 saw Hall of Famer Roundtable, champion horse of the year and 3-time turf champion, trained by Bill Moulter, winning the Bay Meadows Derby before going on to finish 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. 1958 saw Battle Dance, a 6-year-old who would win 14 stakes and 113 career starts, win the Bay Meadows Handicap with Ralph Neves aboard. Howard B. Keck's Baghdad, who would run 2nd in the Belmont Stakes, captured the Children's Hospital Handicap for trainer Joe Dunn. The Gallant Gray Promised Land, trained by Hall of Fame member Hirsch Jacobs, took the Bay Meadows Handicap in 1959. That year, the California Jockey Club elected Joe Cohen to serve as president and general manager of Bay Meadows. The Cowbred TV Lark, a CTBA sales graduate who went on to earn over $900,000 and Turf Horse of the Year honors in '61, took the Tropicana Handicap with Alex Mays in the saddle. '61 saw Hall of Fame inductee Native Diver breaking his maiden at Bay Meadows on September 27th with Ralph Neves aboard. Native Diver became the first California-bred millionaire, winning 34 stakes. Out of a mare sired by Seabiscuit, Sea Orbit carried 127 pounds to win the 1962 Bay Meadows Handicap for trainer J.H. Levitt. Proving to be a huge fan favorite, Native Diver won the San Jose and Salinas handicaps with Neves in the saddle for trainer Buster Millerick. In 1963, 4 and 20, who won the Santa Anita and Hollywood Derbies that year, took the Tropicana handicap for 3-year-olds under Hall of Famer Johnny Longden. In 1964, Native Diver, ridden by Jerry Lambert, won the Redwood City Handicap carrying 127 pounds, covering the 6 furlongs in 108 and 3. With jockey Don Pierce riding for trainer Charlie Comiskey, Gummo captured the Bay Meadows Juvenile Championship Stakes. And admirably, who would go on to equal the world record in a 6 furlong race, won the Bay Meadows Lassie. Heavily favored Coursing in 1965 returned $280 in winning the Burlingame Stakes for owner Lou Rowan. In 1966, Middle Ranch's No Host, ridden by Alvaro Pineda, won the San Francisco Handicap for Noble 3-win. Wolfgang, trained by Jimmy Jordan, captured the Burlingame. The following year, No Host, ridden by Alex Mays, came back to capture the Bay Meadows Handicap. Most Host captured the William P. Kine for trainer Gene Cleveland. The speedy filly Time to Leave, who set track records at both Bay Meadows and Hollywood Park, won the Bay Meadows Lassie, and Don B. won the Bay Meadows Juvenile Stakes. In 1968, the first night quarter horse meet in California was conducted under the direction of Dr. William J. Ward. Majestic Prince, purchased as a yearling by Frank McMahon for the astonishing price of $250,000, received his early training and broke his maiden at Bay Meadows. Ridden by Bill Hardtack and trained by Johnny Longden, the Prince went on to win the Derby and Preakness, finishing second in the Belmont. Both Majestic Prince and Hardtack were inducted into racing's Hall of Fame. Also that year, Old Bob Bowers, who went on to sire John Henry, equaled the world record for 9 furlongs in 146 and 2, when he won the Tan Fran Handicap for the Kerr stable. Piloted by Ismael Valenzuela, Kelso's principal rider, Fieldmaster captured the 1969 Bay Meadows Handicap for Warren Studi. Gaelic Dancer won the San Jose Handicap for owner Bill Pascoe and trainer H.C. McBride, covering the mile in 134 and 1. Bob Gunderson, Bill Kine's son-in-law, was appointed general manager. The 70s began with the entry of Traffic Beat, ridden by Merlin Volsky, and Tri-Sheep, owned by Cecile DeMille Harper's Middle Ranch, ran 1-2 in the Bay Meadows Handicap. 1971 featured Ascot Day at Bay Meadows, patterned after festivities that accompanied the Ascot Gold Cup in England. Gold Seal, trained by Boots Gilchrist and ridden by George Peixoto, won the San Jose Breeders' Cup Handicap. Market Again, trained by Bobby King, won the California Jockey Club Handicap for Roussard and Millard. Trained by the patient Olin Battles, Caroline took the Hillsborough Handicap. And Nightly Dawn, owned by Sigmund Summer, trained by Hall of Famer Frank Martin, won the California Juvenile Stakes. In 1973, Mr. and Mrs. E.B. Johnson's Impressive Style won the first division of the Hillsborough Handicap. Ipsy with Merlin Volsky in the irons, won the Tan Ferran Handicap and finished second in the Bay Meadows Handicap for trainer Charlie Comiskey. Big Jess won the Leland Stanford and Ormondale Stakes for Harris Farms, with Raul Caballero aboard. Trainer Kathy Walsh and leading rider Juan Gonzalez teamed up with Whoa Boy to win the 1974 San Jose Stakes. Jockey Mel Lewis received the first annual Jack Robinson Memorial Award. In 1975, TV star Telly Savalas celebrated in the Bay Meadows Winner's Circle after his Telly's Pop won the California Juvenile Stakes. Carrying 130 pounds, Tisna, with Fernando Toro aboard, won the California Jockey Club Handicap in stakes record time. In 1976, Moneylender, trained by John Longden, got the money in the California Juvenile Stakes. And Life's Hope, owned by Harborview Farm and trained by Hall of Fame trainer Laz Barrera, won the Bay Meadows Handicap. 1977, Captain Don won the Burlingame Stakes for trainer Willis Rivas. Hail Hilarious took the California Jockey Club Handicap for trainer Neil Drysdale and owner Saren Stable. In 1978, the 7 Furlong Turf Course, named the Longden Course in honor of the legendary Johnny Longden, made its debut on September 4th before a crowd of better than 21,000. Golden Act ran second in the El Camino Real Stakes on his way to placing in all 3 legs of the Triple Crown. Ridden by jockey Tony Diaz, Marchetti won the Burlingame Stakes for trainer Malcolm Anderson. Mr. and Mrs. John Mabie's Golden Eagle Farms, True Lady, won the Bay Meadows Oaks for trainer Gary Jones with turf rider extraordinaire Fernando Toro in the saddle. 1979, the 2-time Horse of the Year and Hall of Fame member, the gallant John Henry, finished second in the Bay Meadows Handicap to Leonidas. John Henry was ridden by Darrell McCard, who later was to become a steward at Bay Meadows. 1980, Elmendorf's Super Moment won the Bay Meadows Handicap under Fernando Toro. Fast, ridden by Patrick Valenzuela, for Hall of Fame trainer Charlie Whittingham, won the Tan Ferran Handicap. Roberto Gonzalez took the riding title from Tony Diaz, who had won the 3 previous riding championships. Bay Meadows inaugurated the All-Star International Jockey Competition. The first running included Steve Cawthon, Lafitte Pincay Jr., Sandy Hawley, Russell Bays, and Roberto Gonzalez, versus foreign stars Lester Piggott, Willie Carson, Frankie Dettori, Joe Mercer, and Grenville Starkey. In 1981, future Hall of Fame jockey Russell Bays won his first Bay Meadows riding title. Track Robbery, who won the Children's Hospital and California Jockey Club handicaps, earned over $1 million in a career that included 22 victories in 59 starts. Trained by John Sullivan and ridden by Hall of Famer Eddie Delahousie, the Bart set a new track record for 1.1 miles on the turf in winning the Tan Ferran Handicap.
Factor turning into the stretch, Tahitian King on the lead. Truckload on the outside, the Bart looking for room. He's found it. He's coming through on the inside. That's Tahitian King. Here comes the Bart. Now the Bart is taking the lead. Tahitian King and Truckload. It's the Bart in front. Very confident ride by Eddie Delahousie on number.
The Bart later lost an epic duel with John Henry in the unforgettable inaugural running of the Arlington Million. Sylvieville won the Bay Meadows Derby for owner Shell Cavalli, and Super Moment won the Bay Meadows Handicap for the second time, this time with Lafitte Pincay in the saddle. In 1982, One-Eyed Castellaria, ridden by Darrell McCarg, won the inaugural running of the El Camino Real Derby for Hall of Fame trainer Ron McAnally. Sylvieville won the Saratoga and Tan Ferran.
Circle comes number 8, Sylvieville, with jockey Danny Winnick. Sylvieville is owned by Shell H. Cavalli. Emmett Campbell is the trainer. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Emmett Campbell's 50th year as a trainer.
With Russell Bays aboard, Super Moment narrowly defeated Buchanet and Bill Shoemaker in the Bay Meadows Handicap. It was Super Moment's third consecutive handicap win, each with a different jockey.
Super Moment on the rail, Buchanet on the outside. The filly's got dead aim on Super Moment, and they're head and head, stride for stride. It's Buchanet on the inside. Super Moment, Buchanet, Super Moment coming on again. At the wire. Very good.
1983 saw corporate restructuring, dividing Bay Meadows into two separate companies, a real estate company and an operating company. On November 19th of that year, a crowd of 22,075 was attracted by a then record Pick 6 carryover of 1,018,000. Ted West saddled Interco to win both the Bay Meadows Derby and the $300,000 Bay Meadows Handicap, with Joe Giudice doing the piloting. Interco went on to amass career earnings over $1 million, and at one point winning 9 straight stakes. In honor of the track's 50th birthday, Joe DiMaggio, a frequent visitor to Bay Meadows, and Marilyn Gunderson, Kine's daughter, reenacted the 1934 ribbon-cutting ceremony. Ridden by Hall of Fame jockey Steve Cawthon and trained by Hall of Famer Jack Van Berg, Gate Dancer, who would later win the Preakness, finished second in the El Camino Real Derby. Wild Again finished third at Bay Meadows in a prep race for the inaugural running of the Breeders' Cup Classic at Hollywood Park, which he won after being supplemented at a cost of $360,000. Wild Again beat Gate Dancer at the wire in a rodeo-style finish. In 1985, Hall of Famers Jorge Velasquez and D. Wayne Lucas teamed up to win the El Camino Real Derby with Tanks Prospect, who later won the Preakness for owner Eugene Klein. Finishing third was Skywalker, who later won the Breeders' Cup Classic. Northsider, a filly also trained by D. Wayne Lucas, won 3 stakes and went on to be the 1987 Eclipse Award winner for older filly and mares, winning over a third of her lifetime starts at Bay Meadows. Following the passage of SB 14, sponsored by Senator Ken Matty, the Northern California Satellite Wagering Network was launched on October 17. Sites that opened for off-track wagering in '85 included Golden Gate Fields, Santa Rosa, Stockton, Sacramento, and Fresno. Lady's Secret captured the Carmel Handicap, going on to earn Horse of the Year honors and membership in racing's elite Hall of Fame. The $150,000 Bay Meadows Budweiser Breeders' Cup was contested under the lights, making it the richest stake ever run on a Friday evening card in California. Hopeful Word, a future millionaire, won the feature under Fernando Toro. Ridden by Alex Solis, Snow Chief won the El Camino Real Derby before winning the Preakness for trainer Mel Studi. Snow Chief went on to earn $3.3 million. Jerry Hollendorfer captured his first training title at Bay Meadows. Palace Music, owned by Nelson Bunker Hunt and Alan Paulson, won the 54th running of the Bay Meadows Handicap. Palace Music is best remembered as the sire of the famous cigar. This year, for the first time, fans at Bay Meadows were able to wager on the Kentucky Derby. An English jockey, Lester Piggott, recorded the final victory of his stellar career in winning an International Jockey Club race. Bedside Promise, with Gary Stevens up, won the 1987 William P. Kine Handicap for trainer R.L. Martin. Masterful Advocate and Lafitte Pincay teamed up to win the El Camino Real Derby. Pincay would go on to break Shoemaker's career win record, which would stand until 2006. In 1988, Bobby Frankel and Pat Day teamed up to win the El Camino Real Derby with Ruhlman, who was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Jerry Moss. Ruhlman went on to win the $1 million Santa Anita Handicap. Frankel and Day are both members of Racing's Hall of Fame. Brown Bess won the California Jockey Club Handicap for owner Suzanne Pachayan and trainer Chuck Genda. In a scheduling quirk, the CHBPA Invitational was run twice in '88, and both runnings were won by Perfect Travel for trainer Art Sherman. 1988 was also the year that James P. Kahn was elected president and CEO of Bay Meadows. Brown Bess repeated in the California Jockey Club Handicap and went on to be named the nation's best female turf runner. She was the first Northern California horse to win an Eclipse Award.
Down at the rail, Nakishka's game. Nakishka on the inside, and Brown Bess, our filly has the lead by a neck. Nakishka can't go with her down at the rail, but she's game. Gold Firecrackers get the rest beat. Gonna be Brown Bess in the California Jockey Club.
The colorful Ron Hansen captured his first riding title. Also in '89, a major turf club renovation was completed. In 1990, Lafitte Pincay Jr. and trainer Bill Shoemaker teamed together to win the Tisna Handicap with Sweet Roberta for owner Burt Bacharach. This marked Shoemaker's first career stakes win as a trainer. Eclipse Award-winning It's All Greek to Me captured the Ascot Handicap with Corey Nakatani aboard. Ron McAnally and Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens won the El Camino Real Derby with Silver Ending, who would go on to earn over $1 million. 1991, future champion and Hall of Fame member A.P. Indy won a 1-mile allowance race at Bay Meadows, going on to capture the Hollywood Futurity in his next start. Ron McAnally and jockey Tom Chapman won the El Camino Real Derby with Vern Witchel's Sea Cadet, outrunning General Meeting. Sea Cadet won 6 graded stakes and earned $1.8 million during his 4-year racing career. Jim Kahn and Shel Cavalli proposed that the property be developed and all of the racing dates be moved to Golden Gate Fields. This announcement resulted in ongoing strife between shareholders favoring development and those favoring racing. In 1992, John Harris was elected chairman of the board for Bay Meadows. Mr. Harris later served multiple terms as commissioner on the California Racing Board, including several stints as chairman and vice chairman. F. Jack Liebau took the helm as Bay Meadows president. The Pleasanton-based Casual Eyes won the El Camino Real Derby on his way to running second in the Kentucky Derby, third in the Preakness, and fifth in the Belmont. 1993, Cigar, a year before launching his 16-race winning streak, finished third in the Ascot Handicap. Cigar set an all-time purse earnings record of just under $10 million. Slew of Damascus, trained by Craig Roberts, won the Bay Meadows Handicap on October 2nd, setting a new track record. Tom Chapman rode Slew of Damascus when Ron Hansen was a no-show at the track that morning. Hansen's body was discovered in a marsh more than 3 months later. The cause of death was never determined. In 1994, Tabasco Cat, with Pat Day aboard, won the El Camino Real Derby for Dean Wayne Lucas. Tabasco Cat went on to win the Preakness and Belmont Stakes. California Horse of the Year, Soviet Problem, bred by Harris Farms and Don Valpredo, and trained by Greg Gilchrist, won the Bay Meadows Breeders' Cup, speeding 6 furlongs in 1:08 3, and later ran second, beaten only a nose in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. California-bred Work the Crowd, trained by Greg Gilchrist and owned by Harris Farms and Senator Matty, won the Old English Rancho Handicap. Work the Crowd had been named California Mare and Turf Horse of the Year in 1994. Pike Place Dancer, trained by Jerry Hollendorfer, won the San Jose Stakes with Russell Bays in the saddle. Pike Place Dancer later won the prestigious Kentucky Oaks. In 1996, Hall of Fame jockey Julie Crone guided Rumpy Pumpy to a second-place finish in the San Jose Stakes, which was won by Russell Bays. Crone spent part of her day at Bay Meadows signing copies of her book, Riding for My Life. The Calbred Cavalier, raised in Sonoma County by Mr. and Mrs. Robert Walter and trained by Hall of Famer Bob Baffert, won the El Camino Real Derby before losing by a heartbreaking nose in the Kentucky Derby. Walter Greenman won the El Camino Real Derby with Pacific Bounty, ridden by Hall of Famer Kent DeSormo. The California Jockey Club was sold to Patriot American on July 1st. All the paired stock of the California Jockey Club was acquired by Patriot American Hospitality, and the property underlying the facility was concurrently purchased by Payne Weber's real estate division, headed by Terry Fancher. 1998, faced with the loss of the training track and the barn area to development, Bay Meadows hosted its first season with infield barns and an idea that worked despite great skepticism. Popular family activities such as picnics, concerts, Boo Meadows, and Snow Meadows continued in the middle and southern end of the infield. Event of the Year won the El Camino Real Derby for trainer Jerry Hollendorfer. Although favored for the Kentucky Derby, he was unable to run due to an injury. In '99, Charismatic, owned by Bob and Beverly Lewis, ran second in the El Camino Real Derby before going on to win the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. In the year 2000, Del Mar Derby winner Walks Like a Duck won the Bay Meadows Breeders' Cup Derby, earning a spot in the Breeders' Cup Mile at Churchill Downs. Senator Ken Matty, a frequent visitor at Bay Meadows, passed away, and the racing industry mourned the loss of a man who had been responsible for many of racing's successful legislative initiatives. In 2001, Magna Entertainment Corporation leased the Bay Meadows facility from the Bay Meadows Land Company through 2003 by making an advance payment in the amount of $22 million. Concurrently, the senior management of Bay Meadows became involved in the day-by-day management of Santa Anita and Golden Gate Fields. Later that year, Redditor and Jason Lumpkins held off Hawksley Hill and Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens to win the $250,000 San Francisco Breeders' Cup Mile. British-bred Swanses, trained by Darrell Vienna, scored a wire-to-wire win in the 2002 Grade 2 San Francisco Breeders' Cup Mile. Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith finished third in the Bay Meadows Breeders' Cup Derby aboard Century City. After recording win number 8,000, jockey Russell Bays was presented with a Honda motorcycle, which he rode up and down the Bay Meadows stretch while waving to the fans. In a buyout led by Terry Fancher, Bay Meadows was purchased from Payne Weber by an entity to be known as the Bay Meadows Land Company. Magna Entertainment's lease was extended through 2004, and on the track, Nine Banks, trained by Jerry Hollendorfer for owner Peter Abruzzo, was named Bay Meadows Horse of the Year for the second year in a row. In February of 2004, Jack Liebau resigned as president of Bay Meadows and the other California racetracks owned by Magna Entertainment Corporation. The Bay Meadows Land Company, headed by Terry Fancher, was a significant financial supporter of an unsuccessful statewide initiative that would have allowed slot machines at California racetracks. Had this initiative passed, Bay Meadows would have been able to continue indefinitely as a racing venue. Magna Entertainment's lease of the facility was not renewed. On the track, Singletary won the Grade 2 San Francisco Mile and went on to win the Breeders' Cup Mile. Lava Man, who won an allowance race with Chad Schwanefeld, went on to win every major stake for older horses in Southern California, including the Hollywood Gold Cup on 3 occasions. On April 15th of 2004, Jerry Hollendorfer won his 4,000th race, becoming only the 6th trainer in racing history to hit that milestone. In 2005, Bay Meadows Racing Association, again led by Jack Liebau as president, took over the track's operations. In September, the Bay Meadows Land Company purchased Hollywood Park, and the senior management of Bay Meadows became also responsible for the day-by-day management of Hollywood Park. On October 1st, Lost in the Fog, owned by San Francisco's own Harry Alio and trained by Greg Gilchrist, won the Bay Meadows Speed Handicap. Lost in the Fog won the Eclipse Award as the nation's best sprinter. In 2006, on November 4th, Bay Meadows set an all-time betting record for a Northern California host track. On December 1st, Russell Bays rode Butterfly Bell to a record victory.
Back towards the inside in the white sleeves and cap. He's going to try and pick his way through the field. Now he switches towards the inside. There's an opening too. Wall of them lining up here, and Bay sends Butterfly Bell through on the inside. She made it happen, comes strongly down the outside, but this is the race. Russell Bays on Butterfly Bell, winning 2.5 lengths as a sterling career becomes gilt-edged.
Lafitte Pincay Jr. congratulated Russell Bays in the winner's circle on becoming the all-time winningest rider in North America. In 2007, the exciting Kentucky-bred Indiana, a $375,000 purchase, won her debut by 10 lengths and returned to score a 6th-length victory in the Bay Meadows debutante on September 8th. Even though the entitlements needed for development of the property had been secured, the Bay Meadows Land Company contributed significant financial support for an unsuccessful statewide referendum, which would have nullified certain Indian compacts. It was hoped that the nullification of these compacts would have resulted in racing industry sharing in revenue from future gaming in California, which would have enabled Bay Meadows to continue as a racing venue. This initiative, led by Terry Fancher, represented the last and final possible effort to save Bay Meadows. April 26 marked the final running of the Bay Meadows Handicap, won by Bold Chieftain, a Northern California horse trained by Bill Morey Jr. and ridden by none other than Russell Bays. There were 14,366 fans on hand for the final Friday Nights Alive card presented under the lights on May 9th. Russell Bays finished the Bay Meadows meet with his 40th riding championship, 32 of which were consecutive. Jerry Hollendorfer, shown here with Dr. George Todaro, one of his principal owners, won his 37th straight training title at Bay Meadows, dating back to 1986. Here are some words from Jack Liebau.
For more than 15 years, I have been privileged to be associated with Bay Meadows. It has taken on a special place in my life, just as it has with its employees and fans, who have been viewed more as friends than customers. It is this feeling of camaraderie that has resulted in Bay Meadows being known as the friendliest track. The employees, horsemen, fans, and friends of Bay Meadows are thankful for the memories.
I love your dress. Do you?